Hello everyone and welcome to The Workbench. In case you haven't noticed, my YouTube channel now has a new name, which is more descriptive than my old one because the old one was just a username I had chosen back when I first signed on to YouTube. So now every video is going to be The Workbench and then it'll have a number after it. So today this is going to be a quick video, relatively quick compared to the other ones, where we're going to be looking at this Pioneer AVIC-N1 head unit. This head unit has an issue with the touch panel, and I think it's going to be kind of interesting because the touch panel responds, but as we're going to see, it acts a little odd. This whole stereo system is actually from about the 2004 vintage, and it has this separate unit here that actually attaches to the back of the main head unit through this big cable right here, apart from the regular power and the speaker lines and all that. So this box here is the one that houses all the electronics for the GPS and the audio video inputs and all the other interfaces. And this one also has the tuner built in there, as you can see from the antenna hookup. And as you can see by the fact that this has a GPS input, this also does navigation, except that these units didn't have the maps built in, and you weren't able to update them with like an SD card like you can nowadays with a lot of newer ones. You actually needed to have the disc for the navigation inserted into the drive. So if you had that inserted, you really couldn't do any music from CDs, but you know, you'd have the navigation and everything. The box here is the one that houses the compass as well, and if you notice, you got these arrows here pointing on and telling you that it has to be oriented with this facing back and forth, not sideways, because as this rotates, it moves the cursor on the navigation, you know, wherever direction it is you're going. So we're gonna go ahead and power this up, and we're gonna see what it's doing. So there it is. Now it's on, but I mean it's saying off right now, but we're gonna hit source here, and as you can see, it comes up with the radio. And first glance, you know, you really can't see any problem with the touchscreen, but what it's doing is that in some menus, especially ones that have like buttons way off to the side, when you touch like a button, you have to touch like way off to the far right for it to register. And this being a resistive touch panel, you would think, okay, well, you know, maybe it just needs a calibration. We go into the menu, we do that, except for the fact that in the menus here, there is no option for calibration. So we're kind of stuck with this panel that you know, doesn't respond where it should. Here it doesn't look so bad. You know, it looks like everything's kind of where it should be. I think it's actually more in the navigation menu where it's more noticeable. So let me go ahead and pop the navigation disc in and we'll see. So this is what the navigation disc looks like on one of these. It's just a regular DVD-ROM, but it's got the map data in it. So you just pop this in like you're gonna play a CD, and it loads that. And we're gonna hit the navigation button here. So it's loading it up right now, and as you can see, a 2004 Pioneer Corporation. It takes a while to load this thing. So there we go. So the navigation's loaded up. Gonna hit that. Once this is at the time, we're not gonna do that right now. We're just gonna hit back. So right now it's doesn't have any antenna hooked up, so it doesn't know exactly where we are. But let's see the buttons here. So as you can see, I'm trying to push this button, and all it's doing is it's moving me around on the map. You can actually tap in like different areas and it'll go to that location. So you can move around the map that way, or you can kind of pan around with your finger. But I'm trying to hit this button over here and it's not, basically it's not responding. If I hit way off to the side, as you can see, now it took the command. So I'm going to hit back here. See the information button, I try to hit right on it. Nope, it just pans me around on the screen. Hit way off to the edge, there it goes, it responds. So basically that's the issue with it, is that we can't calibrate it in the main menus here, but there actually is a calibration menu built into this thing, which I'm going to show you now. What you do to get into the calibration on one of these units is you push the reset button in with something, like I'm going to be using this little pin here, and you hit the eject button at the same time. You release the reset button, keep holding the eject, it's going to go in, and after a few seconds it pops back out, and it tells you to push the reset button. However, you don't push the reset button to get into the menu. Instead, what you do is on this little joystick on the side here, you do up, up, down, down, and then push enter, and it brings you to this screen. And as you can see, we have a few options here. The first one says Remicon touch panel test, seconds version check, error log, etc. You know, there's a bunch of different things you can do in here, but we're gonna hit enter by just pushing the button in here, and it takes us to this menu. Set up the touch panel effective range. So let's go ahead and do that. And here what it's showing us is two numbers. The first one, this little column here, 44, 244, 51, 234, that was the previous calibration data. On the right we have the new calibration data, which is actually what we're going to be entering in now. It tells you to trace a white line. What it's talking about is this white line that you can see all around the screen here. Tilt it up, you're going to see the rest. There you go. And what that's going to do is, well, I think what it's going to do is it averages out the values all around the screen so that it gets its minimum X and minimum Y values and maximum X and maximum Y. And if I touch here, you're going to see the max Y number down here at the bottom. It might change depending on, yeah, see, 230, 231, 232. We're going to go down here. Now this should give us the maximum X, which is the second line down here. Right now it's at 230, 231, so you can actually kind of trace up and down and it might change a little bit. Now let's do the minimum Y, which pretty much right away it went down to 51. So when this thing starts off, it basically it's like if it's reading like right somewhere in the center of the screen, and then as you touch around, you know, then it changes. But watch this, when I go over to the left hand side and I touch this, I'm only getting down to the, look at that, 76 minimum so far, 75. I can't get it to go down to 44. So, you know, at first I thought, okay, is the touch screen damaged? But I mean, it's not broken, there's no physical damage on it that you can see. And then, you know, so you kind of think, so is it the digitizer? I don't know, but I've thought of a test, so I'm going ahead and do that now, and we'll see how that goes. Actually, before we do that, let me go ahead and go back. To go back on this unit, you're going to hit the band button here, and it takes you outside, and as you can see, it says invalid calibration data, so it doesn't save it. We're going to go to test the touch panel, and you see this little X there, or the little plus, but watch as I push around on the screen in different points with this. See how it registers like way off to the side? See, we're getting, so it's a little more accurate over on this side. It's actually more accurate kind of like here in the middle, this kind of middle portion here. But as we move off to the side, once again it's off. What I want to do is determine if the touch panel is the problem or if it's the digitizer IC in the LCD panel that's the problem. I have this other touch panel here, which actually is a little bit bigger than the one built into this unit, but it's a 4-wire resistive panel, which is actually what's in that too. What I'm going to do is I've soldered these wires to this header here, and I'm going to hook these up to here, and then I'm going to solder these in place of where the ones on the panel go. And here we have the back of this unit once it's opened up. This is the connector for the touch panel, and it's just a little flex cable here. I'm going to pull this out. As we can see, it's just a 4-wire resistive panel. Just pretty basic for these kinds of units. And we're going to solder these 4 wires to the back of that connector. Of course, we can't just go connecting any random wire from the other touch panel to the back of this unit to any of the pins on the connector. So what I had to do is I actually had to follow the traces up here from the Y plus and then the Y minus side and figure out where they ended up on the flat flex here, and do the same thing with the X minus and the X plus. So once I had that figured out, I just did this little drawing here where the first pin here on the bottom is the X minus, and then we got the Y minus, and then the X plus and the Y plus. So on the connector that I made here for my other touch panel, I also had to figure this one out. But now that I have that figured out and it matches what we have on this panel, I'm going to go ahead and solder those wires to the back, starting with blue and then purple, yellow, and orange at the top. And just in case it's not obvious, we're not going to be connecting this one at the moment. We're just going to leave this hanging. Okay, so I've got this put back together. I got my wires dangling out right here, and I've got my external touch panel hooked up. We're going to go ahead and turn it back on. Wait for it to do its thing. Okay. So it's off right now. Let's go ahead and go into the navigation menu. Oh wait, this is still, oh, I can't touch there, duh. Let's go ahead and hit the source button here. I think I have to turn this on for it to actually do anything. Let's go ahead and hit the navigation menu again. Source. Oh, here we go. Okay, and so as you can see, this isn't responding here anymore, but I can touch over here, and assuming I can get the right spot, you see it responds. So we've got this touch panel working, and can we hit back? There we go, hit back. And so again, we should be able to pan around and stuff just by touching this touchscreen over here. We can go around different places. So let's go ahead and go back into that menu we were in, the calibration menu, and we'll see if we get any different results with this touchscreen plugged in. So here we are back in the menu. We're going to go into the Remicon touch panel test, and we're going to, let's test the touch panel first, see how this does. As you can see, this panel here is like a 7-inch, and it doesn't quite, hey, hello, doesn't quite match up what we got here, but it should be fairly accurate, you know, where we touch. And as you can see, it's already responding a lot better than the old one. Here we can trace around. Yep. So let's go back and we'll do that calibration again. Well, the effective range. Gonna click that. So there we go. We have our center values here, or where it would be like in the very center of the screen. Let's go ahead and act like we're running our finger through it again and see what kind of values we get. So I'm going to start by running my finger along the top side here, and there we go. As you can see, the maximum Y is staying about the same. Now our maximum X is increasing, as it should, and then we should start hitting our minimum Y here soon. There it goes. And I'm going to run my finger along the bottom here, and that should keep our minimum Y. And now I'm going to go up. Actually, our minimum X already kind of hit where it should be. So it's probably not a problem with the digitizer IC. It's very likely that it's a problem with the touch screen. So knowing that it's probably not the digitizer IC that's bad, I've gone ahead and ordered a new touch panel. And this is it here. Oh, nice and shiny. So we're going to go ahead and pop this in. And we're going to go through this calibration menu again and see what kind of results we get now. Before I actually put the panel back into this unit, I thought we should go ahead and measure the resistance on the elements of the X and the Y axes on these panels. And we're going to test the old one first. This is this pin right here, and this one here is the Y element. Let's see what kind of resistance we get there. So about 245 ohms. And let's measure the X, about 760 k ohms there. Now let's go ahead and measure the new panel and see what we get. Again, we'll start with the Y. About 265, almost 266. Let's measure the X. We're only getting about 500k on this one, so it looks like for sure the X is way off on that old panel. And like I mentioned before, there actually doesn't seem to be any sort of a damage or corrosion on this panel, so I don't know exactly what went wrong with it, but first glance it seems to be fine. But we're gonna go ahead and pop in the new one anyways. We got the new panel in. Now we're gonna go ahead and go back into that menu, that service menu. Okay, up, up, down, down, enter. Touch panel test, touch panel effective range, and now let's see what we get. Start off with the upper Y here. Look at that. The minimum X already changed, and the maximum Y is about where it should be. Now we should start hitting maximum X, and there it goes. Sure enough, close enough. Now let's go down. Maximum X just went up a little bit. Right at about here we should start hitting minimum Y. There we go. Oh, going down a lot farther than it was before. And it's like, that's about it. The minimum X even went down a little bit lower than the previously calibrated value. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter. Oh, actually I have to hit back. Setting OK. Now let's set up calibration. We're going to be touching these points here. Oh, it's responding nicely. Setting OK. Now let's go ahead and test the touch panel. And now that everything's calibrated and the screens, the touch panel is working fine and everything, when I touch those in random individual points, it should put that little plus mark exactly where I touch. So let's go ahead and try that. We'll touch here. There we go. Touch on this side. There it is. It seems to be, with these resistive panels, you can never quite get exactly where it's supposed to be, but it's definitely a huge improvement of where it was. It's pretty much almost right on. Yep. So let's go ahead and hit back. So here we've stored the effective range and the calibration values. Can hit back. Let's see what it's saying now for the effective range. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I powered cycled the unit, and we're going into the navigation menu again. And here's this part again. Okay, let's hit OK. Perfect. We're not going to worry about this. Hit back. Now, when I touch the buttons over here on the right hand side, it should be right on if everything worked out correctly. So bring up the buttons and let's touch one. There we go. Perfect. Is that one? Yep. That one. Right on. I don't have to touch way off to the right side anymore. It responds right where it should. And I can use my finger here to pan around on the map. Yep. You can hit this one here to go back to our position, even though it's really not it. And I don't know where the heck it's navigating there. I didn't even hit anything, but whatever. So everything seems to be working right. And as I said with this one, the compass is built into this box, so as you can see, as I turn this box, the cursor position changes. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, be sure to thumbs up, and see you all next time.